EAGLES, Eagles.
Welcome in, everybody, to a Tuesday edition of Birds 365 here on JAKIB Sports. I'm your host, Zander Krause. That's my co-host, Johnny Mack, John McMullen. Just 2+ days, everybody, and counting. 2 days and 12 hours. We'll be preparing for kickoff with the Eagles versus the Cowboys to kick off the 2025 NFL season. Johnny Mack, how you doing on this Tuesday morning, brother?
Good. I'm glad you mentioned Tuesday because I don't know what day it is at this point.
Johnny Mack's working hard, man.
Yeah.
All through Labor Day, Johnny Mack. The grind is on with the Philadelphia Eagles, and as we just mentioned, 2+ days out. How you feeling, John? As we get ready for this game, 2.5 days from now.
Yeah, trying to get my bearings. Boy, I wish it were a Sunday game, but it is what it is. Thursday night. I'm not the biggest fan, but that's what happens when you're the Super Bowl champions. And standalone game against the Dallas Cowboys should be exciting. But yeah, I'd prefer it to be a normal NFL week, but that's not going to be part of the Philadelphia Eagles. A lot of weird games this year.
No, absolutely, John, and I will take it all the way. A Thursday night game, which means we were Super Bowl champs last year. John, coming off that Super Bowl champion, Eagles have a lot of high expectations for the season, a lot of excitement in the air around the Philadelphia region and all over for Eagles fans everywhere. So we will be here with you guys all season long to cover everything, soup to nuts, top to bottom. For the Philadelphia Eagles, I want to welcome and thank everybody for being here this morning. Don't forget to hit that like button. The views are going back up with the season, so thanks.
Yeah,
everybody.
I don't know. You got to fix my thing. I don't know what happened, but I can't see the.
That's because you're logged out. That's what happened. You got logged out of your stream. I had you on a StreamYard co-host account, and I think it booted you out, John. So I gotta get that fixed for you. We'll get that fixed for tomorrow's show.
I'm flying blind when it comes to.
You can see the comments. Can you see the comments?
I can see the comments, yeah.
All right, so
I don't want to see the comments.
You can see the knuckleheads, John. Yeah. John, we got some updates, though, yesterday. First injury reports came out from both the Eagles and the Cowboys. Definitely some things to note with the Eagles. And then also about big news for, not big, but just something to discuss is Saquon Barkley landed as the #1 overall NFL player on the as voted by the players. Yeah. So nothing crazy, but it's pretty cool to see an Eagle.
Well, the disrespect for the Philadelphia Eagles continues.
John.
The immense disrespect for this franchise and this organization is it's crippling. Really,
they led the league, John, in top 100.
Yeah, led the league in top 100, #1 overall. I believe Saquon jumped from 86 to #1, so that's your difference between the New York Giants and the Philadelphia Eagles. But yeah, not a good day for the disrespect people.
No, but good. Congrats to Saquon Barkley for topping that list. And John, the one thing I thought about immediately is how you have been saying, and I was surprised to hear you say this earlier, but you've been saying you think Saquon's headed to the Hall of Fame because of the lure of the play. He doesn't really have – I mean, if you look at his career, he doesn't really have the Hall of Fame resume yet. I know what he did last year was amazing, but obviously was a little bit crippled with his start in the Giants. And I immediately thought of that comment by you because, you get #1 overall in the NFL. That's probably going to add to it a little bit, just the lure of the player. So I think you were on the money with you saying he's already a Hall of Fame player.
He's one of – I always talk about it when you talk about great players, what really sets them apart is their peers and what they think of them. So, he's one of those players they're in awe of for his obvious athletic ability, his unique blend of speed and power, which is rare. And yeah, I mean, that's happened since day one. That's why it was the 2nd overall pick from Penn State. And it took a little bit of a hit with the Giants because of what was going on there, but it was still always there. I still remember talking to Malcolm Jenkins at MetLife Stadium in the locker room when he was either very early in his career. It's like, that dude is something. In a league of great athletes, when you set yourself apart, and you see it even in this locker room where, you you have a Hall of Fame player smack dab if he didn't play another game in Lane Johnson. You have a bunch of future Hall of Famers, and they all kind of say, well, Saquon. And to Saquon's credit, he'll say Lane,
Right.
AJ, so that's a unique chemistry that the Eagles have going on. They have so many, and like I've said, when we talk about the Eagles being the best team in football or in the conversation to be the best team in football, it's about those guys. It's about the top 20 on this team, the top 20 of the roster. And obviously he's a big part of it, but everybody on that top 100 list is a big part of it. And, they're all great in their own specific way. But the difference with Saquon this year, he's coming off the season. He's coming off the greatest season, 2,504 rushing yards. So that's how you jump from 86 to 1 in one season, because nobody's ever done that before. But he'll be the first to tell you, well, I couldn't have done it. And his time in New York will validate this. Couldn't have done it without Lane and Jordan and Landon and Cam, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. So, as Nick Sirianni always says, you can't be great without the greatness of others.
And I think that's the slogan that was inscribed on their Super Bowl rings, Johnny Mac. So good use of that as we get ready to kick off the 2025 NFL season. John, let's dive into that game. Congrats one more time to Saquon Barkley. We got a great show planned for everybody. We are going to have John Machota. He is one of the best covering the Cowboys, and he's been covering that, I don't know, for lack of a better word, that shit show all off season and for the last several years.
I always say we're up against it in Philadelphia, with the Eagles and how they do things. But generally from a positive perspective, all the moves they make, all the things they're involved with, covering the Eagles is not easy because of all the moving parts. And then I think about my Dallas compatriots and go, it's not too bad. Because that is a nut house down there.
Yeah,
nut house.
I think it might be fun to cover. I mean, we might have to ask John Machota that if he has fun covering the team that makes headlines the way they do.
Yeah, it is fun, but you got to embrace it.
For sure. John, let's get into this injury report yesterday. First injury reports came out. You were down at practice yesterday. The coordinator spoke yesterday as well. So we'll talk about that. But one thing that really stuck out.
You're going to get the rare ripping of Vic Fangio today, by the way.
Oh, they got to him, John. We'll talk about that in a second. Let's hit that injury report first. Landon Dickerson missed practice yesterday with a back. So he has a meniscus surgery just a few weeks ago. And now he missed practice with a back heading into the game. What do you know about it, Johnny Mac? And just your thought on him popping up with the back as opposed to what I think we expected if he missed practice would be the knee.
Well, my first thought was, is his back hurting because he's favoring the knee?
Right.
Exactly. That's the issue here to me. You got a 6'6", 340-pound guy with knee problems and back problems. Look, I think Landon's going to play, and we'll get a better indication. Obviously, Nick's not going to tell us anything. But we'll get a better indication as we get down there to practice today, which will be the last practice before Thursday night that we'll walk through tomorrow. If he's out there, obviously he's going to play. I mean, I'm over 50% he's going to play because he's Landon Dickerson. But my longer term concern is that we're not even to week 1. And this guy's had his meniscus trimmed, and now he's got a back injury, perhaps because he's favoring to try to get through the meniscus. That's my concern.
Yeah.
Toughest guy on the team. He's going to try to bite through stuff. But at sometimes I've said this before, you got to err on the side of caution. Yeah. And I don't know. Hopefully we'll get to talk to Landon at some point, and he probably won't even admit it. I don't know if it's related to the knee injury, but it makes sense. He had surgery August 13th. August 13th, September 2nd, he was out on the field drinking beers with the Cleveland Browns the day after he had surgery. I mean, it's one thing to be tough. It's another to approach it more realistically. Sometimes you have to save the player from himself. And again, maybe the back has nothing to, maybe it has nothing to do with the knee, but it would make sense.
Don't you
The
think the
logic.
Eagles have shown that they would take air on that side of caution? Because look, I want Landon to be out there. I want to beat the shit out of the Cowboys on Thursday. I want it all. Believe me, I want him to be out there. But we all should have learned from last season that you don't win Super Bowls in week 1 or even 2, 3, or 4, or really any of the weeks in the year. So, how much caution do you put on that? I mean, I think like you do about it, where you think the knee, the back, those are two things that can nag people for a long time. I mean, my father had knee problems. I see the way it affects that. I know people who have back problems. It lingers for months and months and years. Really, how much caution will they err, John, with this? Do you think Landon will play?
I mean, I like I said, right now I'm over 50% he's going to play, so I'm still in the positive category. Look, I think it's built in with meniscus. You're not being cautious if you're trimming it. You're trimming it to get the player back, as opposed to him being out 6 to 8 months.
Right.
They don't have depth at competent depth. Brett Toth would be the starter, most likely. You have Drew Kendall. You have Matt Pryor, who's not really a left-handed player. You have Kenyon Green back. That's not going to wow anybody. And you have, this is one of the best players on your team. So, but, already we're here. Not even through week 1, he's dealing with a knee, and now he's dealing with a back. And he's got a history of injuries, and he's carrying them around a lot at 6'6", 340. And that's, his whole game is power. Not as a very smart player, not his whole game, but that's his biggest strength. He might be the strongest guy in the league. And is he going to have the same power as a player if his back is hurting, if his knee is hurting? You saw last year when his knee was different knee injury, was banged up, and he made the famous twirl block. He hates watching that because the only reason he made it was because he was hurt and he couldn't move. He hates watching it. So, I mean, hopefully it's okay, but I think it's something to keep an eye on.
Definitely something to keep an eye on. We'll keep you posted about any updates on Landon Dickerson here on the channel. Looking forward to talking to John Machota in a couple of minutes here as he will join us, the Cowboys reporter from The Athletic. Looking forward to talking to him. John, anything else on the Eagles injury report? It looked pretty small to me. Tanner McKee did not participate with that right thumb injury, and then limited yesterday was Andrew Makuba and Josh Uche. A full participant was Jalen Carter. So nothing really of note there other than the Makuba and Uche as limited participants. Curious to see if they'll be ready to go for Thursday night. What do you make of the rest of the injury report?
Tanner's not playing, so we can forget about that. So Sam Howell's going to be the backup, but I'm not too concerned because I think Jalen Hurts will be just fine. With Drew and Josh, I mean, Drew looks fine from an outside perspective. I saw him dancing in the locker room yesterday. Jalen Carter, the same. I mean, he's just listed because I guess he's dealing with something. Josh Uche, haven't gotten a great look at because the defensive front people are usually so far away from us, but I would expect them all to play. Now, I do think Sidney Brown's going to start at safety. I don't know how they start Makuba. They only have 3 safeties, so most likely one of their elevations is going to be Marcus Epps or Andre Sam. And then the other one is going to be interesting because if they want a third quarterback, they're going to have to elevate Kyle McCord from the practice squad, but they probably also want to elevate Britton Covey to be the punt returner. So You know, depends what you want to do from that perspective. But pretty healthy, and that they should be pretty healthy because that's what their whole preseason was designed to be.
Yeah,
and you'll notice the names that aren't on there: A.J. Brown, Devontae Smith.
Yep.
Not even on there.
They're good to go. Dan, I think he said, hell yeah, was the quote you gave us from A.J. Brown about playing. So good stuff on the injury report. John, did you see the Cowboys injury report as well? I know they have some things going on there, but they did have a couple guys that had questions as full participants yesterday in Tyler Guyton and cornerback Trayvon Diggs. So not a big injury report over there. DT Perrion Winfrey was the only guy who did not participate for the Cowboys yesterday, excuse me.
Yeah, I mean, Diggs is a full participant. You'd think he's going to play. Guyton's the most interesting because if we go back, they thought he tore his ACL. Well, I shouldn't say they. There was reports that came out that he tore his ACL really at the start of training camp, and John probably have the better explanation. And then the MRI came back, and it was clean from an ACL perspective, but it was some kind of bone fracture, and they thought he'd be out 4 to 6 weeks. And now he's back on the practice field, and he's a full participant. Same thing. I don't know if he's going to play, and hopefully John has more clarity on that. But that's if he can play, that's big for the Cowboys.
Yeah.
That's their left tackle. So that would be a big get back for the Cowboys if he can play.
Yeah, good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, let's talk about those coordinators yesterday. They spoke. You had an interesting comment there about Vic, that he was about to get ripped by Johnny Mac. Holy moly, what did you make of the coordinators?
Wow, what a waste of time. Come on.
Did they get to him, John? Did they get to Vic?
Oh, they clearly got to him. Clearly.
Man, didn't expect that from Vic Fangio, John.
No, I'm very disappointed. I'm like, come on. And this whole nonsense and then we're out at practice a little while later. And Adoree Jackson's working with Quinyon Mitchell while all the other cornerbacks go work on special teams. Adoree Jackson's starting. Like, what is the big freaking deal here? What do you think? Brian Schottenheimer's down in Dallas looking at us? My God, is Adoree Jackson starting or is Jacorian Bennett? Oh my God, is it Trotter or Jihad Campbell? My God.
I think George Pickens is going like this to hear Adoree Jackson is starting.
Well, he'd be going like this if he heard Jacorian Bennett was starting. So we give a
That's true. That's true.
Sidney Brown or Drew Makuba. I mean, come on, Eagles. And
well,
look, I generally defer to Nick. I go, he believes it, and he's the head coach, so it's his team, it's his right. I'm not saying it's not his right. I'm just saying it's fucking silly. Nobody gives a shit. Nobody.
No, there is a line of thinking though, John. I mean, whether we like it or not, that they will stick to that. I mean, look at I saw somebody tweet.
Oh, they will stick to it.
Thing. Did you see the Belichick thing? He put out like the depth chart last night and didn't have.
He's an idiot too, and I'm glad he got boat raced. not putting out a depth chart. Come on, this is ridiculous. This is not the CIA. The ego on these guys has gotten to the point where. I talked about in college football. They don't let quarterbacks do anything in college football. The egos are so out of fucking whack. Yeah. And the funny thing is, the Cowboys aren't game planning for any of those 6 players I mentioned. Any of them. They're worried about Jalen Carter and Zach Bond and Quinyon Mitchell, Cooper, etc. Those are the guys they're game planning about. Not the parts you're concerned about. But whatever.
I don't think it's going to change. Yeah, I don't think it's going to change. The
No,
one thing
it's
that
not.
did change
It's obvious.
I mean, Vic is normally very open and honest, and it's a joy to listen to his press conferences. And
Not yesterday.
Yesterday, he's hitting you guys with, that's a Nick question. That's a Howie question. I'm like, oh, man, they got the Vic. They let him know early. So good stuff there, Johnny Mac. John, a couple days out from this game now, 2 days and 12 hours. It's 8:22 in the morning right now. So almost exactly 2 days and 12 hours. That game will be set to kick off the NFL season opener for 2025. Let's bring in our boy now, John Machota, who covers the Dallas Cowboys for The Athletic. John, me and John have been discussing. That must be a fun job covering the Dallas Cowboys with all the things they have going on. Let's bring him up right now. You can follow him on X at John Machota and read all his work at The Athletic. John, welcome to the show, man. How you doing on this Tuesday morning?
I'm doing well, and it is fun. I will say they keep me very busy.
Yes, they do.
Not covering any Super Bowl runs, but a lot of drama.
Well, I always say, we're up against it here, John. I always say with, all the stuff Howie does, he made 5 August trades. We're always, looking at our phone and bang, we got to do something. But
can I jump in on that real quick?
Yeah.
I'm envious in that way because I will say this. I've been covering the Cowboys. This will now be my 15th season. And while I think there's a lot of things that the Cowboys do well organizationally, they've never been on the level where the Eagles, and particularly since Howie Roseman's been running this